This movie right here is a very good example of why I don't answer a phone call if I don't know who it is.
Would you be willing to trace all of this?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we are talking about a movie that just recently hit Netflix called The Call. This was a film that I was actually recommended from a friend of mine and had not heard anything about it at all. And, they were just like, hey, I think this is something that you would really like. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and give it a watch.
신기하네. 진짜 바뀌었네. 너 지금 엄청 당황했지?
For the plot of this movie, I'm going to be very vague because I don't want to get into spoilers. I really want you guys to watch this film and, enjoy it, kind of go in there, as blindly as you can, because I think that's how you'll have the most fun with this movie. The plot of this movie: a phone call connects two women, one from the past and one from the future, and puts them in this battle that's going to affect the rest of their lives in a major way. So like I said, yes, it's a very, very generic plot description, but yeah, I want you guys to go into this, not really knowing what to expect, because I think you'll really appreciate it in the end. So this movie, it is a South Korean film. So when I first went to go watch it on Netflix, it automatically put the dubbing in, and I highly suggest you guys watch it with the subtitles, because the dubbing, I had it on for like 2 seconds, and I was like, yeah, no, this looks absolutely awful. So I put the subtitles on, and it was a lot better. So first off, I highly suggest you guys do that. But, second, as far as this film goes, it's directed by Chung Young Lee. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. And, like I said in the plot, basically you have this phone call that happens. It connects these two girls. And, in the beginning of the film, it starts off, kind of slow, because you had these, these two girls. One who's in the past, she basically, is calling on this phone as a cry for help because her aunt is kind of crazy and abusing her, as we come to find out like later on in the movie. And so she's basically just trying to reach somebody to come and try and help her. What she doesn't know is that when she calls this other girl from the future, this is taking, like, she reaches this girl that's like 30 years in the future. So that was really cool, and they're both like in this house. So that whole aspect, we get to learn about both of these girls, as the characters are kind of learning about each other, on the phone. They're talking about like, now we have, like video phones where, you can video conference, people on the phone and see them, and you can buy stuff. And the girl from the past is like, what? Like, I think you're lying to me, as someone from the 90s probably would be. So, that was cool. I thought it was fun. Just like I said, really getting to kind of know these characters along the way, as they kind of found out more information about each other. And then once this movie, it gets to a certain point, this one particular thing happens, and from there, it just sets off this chain of events for the rest of the movie, and it just changes into a completely different film. And I was just like, I wasn't expecting that at all. So that was really cool. This movie, it had a lot of twists and turns, in the film. But like I said, I kind of went into it, as it started, expecting one particular thing, and at, a certain point, it ends up just switching directions. And so I'd say that's probably one of my favorite things about this movie, is that throughout the film, I was constantly on my toes. I didn't really know what to expect. And that always just makes, a film so much fun when you can't really predict it. So, as far as one of my favorite things about the movie, it would definitely be the unpredictability about the film. I thought the performances from both of these actresses were phenomenal. Specifically, I believe her name in the film was Jong-Seo, if I'm saying that, correctly. And her character, I don't want to get into too much detail, but I really, really liked her performance. I mean, they were both, fantastic, but hers in particular really stood out to me. And, they were both characters that, I thought were really interesting, completely different from each other. And that's why I think, I was so invested in these characters to see how this thing was going to play out. I also really loved the cinematography in this film. This movie does deal with time travel, and I thought one of the really interesting things about how they did that was, like when things would kind of shift the way that the lighting and everything would be set up. You could tell they were in a completely different time, other than just the fact that you saw things like, like shifting around them, but just the way the lighting and setup, it just really presented the mood at that particular time. And I thought that was a really nice touch to, the different scenes throughout the movie. So yeah, the cinematography was great. The way they did the time travel itself, like I said, when things were like changing, that was really cool, I thought. So like, again, another one of my favorite aspects of the movie. And I can't go, the rest of this review without mentioning the score, the soundtracks for this film. There is one particular scene with one of the characters where the score starts playing, and man, after the film ended, I was like, oh man, I gotta check to see if I could find this thing, because I am definitely going to be throwing it, so that way I can listen to it later on. The beat is just so catchy to me, and like I said, I had to pick it up, I had to put it on like Spotify and stuff like afterwards, because I was like, wow, that soundtrack was awesome. And they play it like in the trailer too, like, so if you see it, like, you'll see it there. But in the movie, like, the way it's like set up and everything was amazing, and it was just so badass and had this epic feel to it. So overall, I really loved The Call. I haven't really gotten into a lot of like foreign films, like, I'll be honest with you guys. And, I've had some recommendations from some friends, so I'm going to be checking out a couple other films. But if you guys have any suggestions, definitely, put them down below in the comments, because I feel like I've probably been missing out on quite a few excellent movies. So definitely let me know down below in the comments. But like I said, I really enjoyed this film. It started out, I went into this, movie expecting one thing, and it completely changed directions. So I really, really enjoyed that. It kind of starts off with a slow burn, but then it turns into this like really suspenseful thriller, sci-fi kind of like thriller. So yeah, I had a lot of different things going on with it. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Like I said, the performances from both these actresses were fantastic. You were invested in these characters, and you were cared about what was going to happen to them until the very end. And make sure you watch until the very end. That's all I'm going to say, about that, even after the credits. So overall, as far as the score goes, I'm going to give this a 8.5 out of 10. It was something that I wasn't really sure what to expect, and it was a big surprise for me. So I've actually watched this twice already. Yeah, for you guys out there, if you haven't seen The Call, again, it's I know there's other movies that have gone by that name, but if you go on Netflix, it's a South Korean film called The Call. It should pop up if you search it, just that way. But I highly recommend you guys check it out. And if you have seen it, I want to know what your guys' thoughts on the film below. Let me know, have you seen it? Do you plan on checking it out if you haven't seen it yet? And as always, guys, make sure if you are new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. And make sure to hit the like button as well, just to really support the video and the channel itself. I really appreciate it. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.
신기하네. 진짜 바뀌었네. 너 지금 엄청 당황했지?